Today is Friday, and it is March the 14th, 2025, and the time is 3:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm not going to be on long this time, but I want to tell you that a lot of things are going on, family. It is so important that we keep our vibrations high and we stay encouraged, stay enthusiastic, stay positive. So, just briefly, what I want to say is that we need to get in on the greatest wealth transfer in history. Family, a lot is happening. So, the inflation is plummeting, and I have articles to verify that the inflation rates all across the board are going down. Meanwhile, while the inflation is plummeting, you have gold prices soaring. So yesterday, gold hit a new all-time high of $3,000 per ounce, and silver breached over $34 an ounce. And we've been told a long time that once gold breaches $3,000 per ounce, then we are in for a ride of our lives. So when you look at the gold prices, you can tell that something is going on. And I've said this many, many times, that as the dollar decreases in value, silver and gold will increase in value. So pay attention to the gold value, because it's letting you know that the dollar is completely losing its value. So the dollar is decreasing in some ways because of all of the nations that have stopped trading with the dollar. Whether they join BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that coalition, or they join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization are the Asian nations. They have stopped trading with the dollar, as well as Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, and all of those nations that joined them. When we reported this, in 2022, that many of the nations had joined BRICS, that was already 85% of the global population that had stopped trading with the dollar. Because if you recall, what made the United States dollar, the fiat dollar, the USD, the world reserve currency, was our agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect their Saudi kingdom in exchange for oil. And then we would force all nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia, and we would make them use the dollar in order to do so. Well, once Saudi Arabia joined BRICS 2 years ago, that was the end of the dollar. That was the end of the United States dollar being the world reserve currency. And that was the end of the United States Incorporated having financial and economic hegemony. And then many nations joined BRICS after Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, the BRICS coalition. And so the news is just now trickling out as of late last year, 2024, that all of this had actually been going on behind the scenes. Again, I reported that in 2022. So you already had 85% of the global population that has stopped trading with the dollar, let alone the Shanghai Corporation, the Asian nations that most people just weren't paying attention to, that has stopped trading with the dollar. So that caused the dollar to plummet, as well as all of the money printing that had been going on for a long time. And then once you had the global pandemic, they printed out more money, and then the debt ceiling went up. But all this was doing was decimating the value of the dollar. Meanwhile, remember I said what gave the United States dollar made it the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom and the Saudi princes in exchange for their oil. Well, a lot of people did not know that those Saudi princes owned a lot of land in America. And most of the land, or I would say the most of the land that brought them a lot of money, was the casinos in Nevada, where those casinos are now closing. Why are those casinos closing? Because two things. There was somebody that was on the inside in Saudi Arabia that started ratting out the Saudi princes, saying America and the rest of the world needs to stop being allies with these Saudi princes, because these Saudi princes own territory in other people's countries like America, including the casinos in Nevada. And that's why there was a lot of so-called sin that would go on Nevada. They would say whatever goes on here stays here. You had a lot of sex trafficking. You had a lot of child trafficking, you had drugs and money laundering going on in Nevada because of these foreign entities that owned the casinos and that were controlling the land there. And they were allowed to get away with it because of our politicians that were in bed with the Saudi princes and in bed with all these other people that are not American. So this is why Trump and other people are saying that you have to get out people that are not here lawfully or legally. Not that they're trying to get rid of all of the immigrants, but a lot of them that were here illegally actually were laundering money. They were criminals. They were doing all type of things that were against us. So the Saudi princes had to be collapsed. And whether you know it or not, there was a triangle of power that the Grand Army of the Republic was trying to dismantle. And that triangle of power included the Saudi princes, that was one angle, and then George Soros and all his billionaire buddies, and then underneath that, the base of that triangle were the bloodline families. So Trump and the alliance and the Nasara White Knights and white hats, they were dismantling that part of the triangle one by one. Well, once the Saudi princes were dismantled, that was aiding and abetting in the collapse of the dollar, because again, what made the dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi princes. In 2022, Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, and it became known as Saudi BRICS. Unbeknownst to most people, even in the financial industry, that move for Saudi Arabia to join BRICS in 2022 ended the agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States Incorporated. Well, then in 2024, the contract that the United States Incorporated had with the Saudi princes to, give us oil in exchange for protecting their kingdom, the contract just was not renegotiated. So with the contract not being renegotiated, Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. That started really collapsing the dollar very quickly. So now when you look at the gold prices, you can put all the information that you have together. You know that the United States dollar is done, because the basic economic principle is as the dollar decreases in value, gold and silver increases in value. So my point is, gold breached $3,000 per ounce yesterday. That was a telltale sign that the United States dollar, which is attached to the United States Incorporated and their Federal Reserve central banking system, is on their way out. So you saw gold reach an all-time high yesterday, silver following, and you saw, I have articles that say that inflation is plummeting or going down. And we see gas prices going down, eggs prices going down. So much is happening, family, that we ought to be getting very, very excited. Also, I reported the other day how banks can now circumvent lawmakers, and the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, with the United States Department or office, has stated that now banks can do cross-border transactions by using XRP and Ripple. And they can do these cross-border transactions as well as currency exchanges without any type of red tape, any type of litigation. They don't have to have any laws passed. Now everything is freed up, family, for those cross-border transactions. So what are cross-border transactions or cross-border payments? That's any type of transaction or payment between nations, between Iraq and America, America and Afghanistan, Afghanistan and Ishbantu. Like, all of this now is streamlined through blockchain technology. And of course, you guys know that Ripple won their case, but now it's etched in stone. It is official that banks can do cross-border transactions with no type of interference. Interestingly enough, I went to Wells Fargo and I talked to one of the bankers, and she knows that I have a business, and we were talking about the podcast that I do. And so her ears perked up when I talked about finances, economic, and all that. And I said, well, the other day I reported on the new interference by the lawmakers and Biden administration. Biden administration said that banks could not do cross-border transactions, that banks had to go through lawmakers and had to wait for legislation. But now all of that has been halted. She agreed with me. She conferred that everything that we're saying now is indeed true. Okay. And she said that actually raised her alarm, her eyebrows, because she had historically been a liberal and she had historically bought into a lot of the things that we were taught. If you were a part of the liberal party, or some of the things you should just abide by. But she said because she's in the banking industry and she's in the financial industry, she has seen things transition under the Trump administration that has completely changed her mind. So I'm just saying all that to say that she confirmed that these things that we are saying are true. Family, get in on this greatest wealth transfer. When you see gold and silver increase in value, you know that everything is happening, that the dollar is losing value, and everything associated with the dollar will lose value. And that's why yesterday and the day before, there were news articles coming out that said that stock market was crashing. So the stock market is associated with the United States dollar. A lot of things, housing market, we had a housing bubble, right? But all bubbles must burst. The housing market is collapsing. The automobile industry is collapsing. Corporations are closing. People are losing their jobs. People are being laid off. Why? Because the whole system is coming down. The whole system is collapsing. It's crashing right in front of us. And you can know that all this is true when you see gold breach $2,000, $3,000 per ounce. So gold is going down just a little bit, but we've always been told, those of us that are Austrian economists, not Keynesian economists, because they buy into the old type of paradigm that the dollar is king. But those of us that are Austrian economists, we understand how markets work. We know that as the dollar increases in value, everything else would decrease in value because gold and silver are real money and they are not attached to the stock market. They are not attached to the old way of doing things. So family, please look at everything that's coming together, all the things. Look at the Supreme Court of the United States last year overturning the Chevron doctrine. When the Supreme Court of the United States last year overturned the Chevron doctrine or the Chevron deference, essentially what they were saying was all of these government agencies, the FBI, the CIA, IRS, EPA, and all 441 of them, and there's probably more, I just have a list of 441 of them, that were created are not part of our lawful republic. Therefore, they had incorporated their own selves, and they had created statutes, policies, and codes that were against we the people. And if we didn't abide by all of their codes, they would put fines on us, and they would sic their policy enforcers upon us, their police officers. And then when we would go to court, the courts would defer back to those government agencies and say, you have to abide by them. That's how it became known as the Chevron deference, because they were always they would defer back to those agencies. Well, the Supreme Court of the United States said, we can't allow this anymore because this isn't part of the republic. It's unconstitutional for these corporations to create themselves, register themselves as a business, and then force everybody to abide by them, to pay taxes to them when they're not part of our republic. And many of the people that had been owners of or that had invested in those government agencies, which are only companies or corporations, were not even American. So the Supreme Court of the United States says it's unconstitutional, it's unlawful, and it's treasonous. So they must be dismantled. Then they put it upon President Donald Trump, who is under court order, to dismantle these corporations. And that's why he created the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. And he put Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, over that. Because when you have a lot of money, people are less likely to fight against you. So now the government is being downsized so that we, the people, can be liberated. So at the same time as that court case came out last year, we saw the Supreme Court of the United States say that state-sponsored banks could operate separately from and independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system. Okay, that was huge. Not only did they say state-sponsored banks can operate separately from the United States Federal Reserve central banking systems, but these state-sponsored banks could have their own charter, their own rules, and they could issue out their own gold-backed currencies. Okay, so they can issue out their own gold-backed currencies. They don't have to ask any legislators for any permission. They don't have to go through the Federal Reserve central banking system. In essence, they're saying the Federal Reserve central banking system is null and void. It means nothing to the states. Why did the Supreme Court of the United States give state-sponsored banks that type of power? Because now the republic has been restored. You don't have to have somebody to come straight out and say the republic has been restored when you see power being turned right back over into the hands of the states. Because according to our republic, the states all operate as their own country. They have their own laws, their own flags, their own policies. This is also why the Supreme Court of the United States overturned Roe versus Wade. Now, they didn't say women are not allowed to unalive their own children. What they said was the federal government can no longer mandate or say whether or not this is permissible. Okay, now it's in the hands of the states to decide. Do you see how the states are regaining our power? Also behind the scenes, and I've been reporting on this for years, states, one by one, have been taking off or repealing the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. And I've been saying this for a long time. I got backlash from even people that were in the precious metal space. It's crazy to me. They did not want this information to get out. You got to remember that a lot of people that own precious metals companies, they're like billionaires. They've been doing this through generations. It's a multi-generational business. They've been selling to each other. Okay. So when you sell to each other and you sell, kind of like away from the public because the public doesn't know this information, then of course, they don't want the everyday people to know that we are about to experience the greatest wealth transfer in history. So I started speaking out about how state by state, they were repealing or removing the state sales tax from the sales of precious metals. And I said, that means that now states are using legislation to pass bills to say we can use silver and gold as legal tender or lawful money so that these states can align with the republic. And the republic, the Constitution for our republic says that the only thing that can be used to pay off debts is silver and gold. And the Constitution for our republic states that the dollar is defined as a fixed weight in silver. So we already have a republic that's saying silver and gold is the only thing that's money. Silver and gold is the only thing that can be used to pay off debts. But most of the world didn't know that. So what happened is that the state legislators took it upon themselves to use the tools of the deep state, passing bills, the tools of the deep state to go against the central banking system that's attached to the United States government, okay, or the United States Federal Reserve, the United States Incorporated. They use the tools of the deep state, the legislators, to pass legislation to repeal or remove the state sales tax from silver and gold. They didn't have to do that because the Constitution for our republic already says that silver and gold is money. But when you use the tools of the deep state against them, they can't fight against you. They can't say, oh, but you didn't pass legislation because, now legislation has been passed. So what does it mean to repeal or remove state taxes from the sales of precious metals? So when they would sell silver and gold, they would put a tax on it above the spot price and the premium. So when you go to get silver and gold, you need to know this. There's a spot price or a market price. Gold right now, the asking price for gold is close to $3,000. It went down a little bit. It's like $2,988 or $2,998. That's the spot price or the market price. Then you have a premium, the price that's put above that for doing business with these coin dealers or wholesalers. So they have to make money. So the spot price is the market price. Then you have the premium. And in addition to that, they would add a sales tax. Well, according to our Constitution, it's unlawful to tax money. But what the deep state had done, the United States Incorporated, these people in power had done was they classified gold as a commodity and not as money once we came off the gold standard. So they classified gold and silver as a commodity, like a collectible, no longer using it as money. Oh, it's just something you can collect, something that's just nice to have. And so the rich were collecting it, but we, the everyday people, didn't have silver and gold. And if we did, we were subject to all those commercials saying, bring in your gold, bring in your silver. We'll pay you for it. Bring in your car. It can be junk. We don't care. But we didn't know that the car, the engine, is comprised of palladium, platinum, and silver. We were just throwing away our cars. Oh, bring it in, haul it in. It doesn't have to work. Bring in your refrigerator and stove. Oh, just trash that computer, trash that cell phone. Never mind that it has cobalt, which is a mineral from Africa that's worth a lot of money in your cell phones and in your computer. Never mind that silver's in all of your appliances, like your refrigerator, stove, microwave, oven, washer, and dryer. Oh, never mind that your car has silver in it. We didn't know that. So we were just throwing it away while these companies were amassing it to themselves. But now we have had an awakening. So the deep state classified silver and gold as a commodity or as a collectible. And so when you classify it as a collectible, you can put a tax on a collectible, just like you could put a tax on artwork or artifacts, which also are collectibles. That's what they have been doing, but not so anymore. Legislatures all across America have repealed or removed state sales tax, in part, partially or fully, from the sales of precious metals. So what that essentially means is that they are acknowledging silver and gold as money in alignment with our Constitution for the United States of America. So silver and gold is no longer a commodity. Another way you can know that we're being liberated, the deep state is totally collapsing and the republic is being restored, is that 46 states have now repealed the state taxes from the sales of precious metals. And you can find an article out there by the Sound Money Defense League that says this means that more than 46 states have now reclaimed silver and gold as money. So a lot is happening just to let us know that things are changing. We have moved to the republic. People just don't know it. And the republic has always been here. That's the lawful government. You've always had the United States Incorporated on one side, which is a group of bloodline families that incorporated themselves in 1871 in the state of Delaware as a nonprofit religious organization with the Pope as the head religious organization. And they had a constitution called the Constitution of the United States Incorporated. And then on this hand, you have the Republic for America, the lawful government, and our Constitution for the Republic. The Republic has been operating all along. And this is why people in the private were not paying taxes. People got on Donald Trump. The man wasn't paying taxes because he operates or live outside the jurisdiction of the United States Incorporated. He was operating under the Republic. I know people. There are many people that are from different ethnic groups and different nationalities, races, or whatever you want to call it, that operate under the Republic. They don't pay taxes. They don't have driver's license. They operate in the private sector. So these two governments, so to speak, were operating at the same time. But the United States Incorporated and all of those 441 agencies that were in alignment with the IRS, FBI, CIA, housing authorities, DMV, housing, the Homeowners Association, all that is now being dismantled because it has nothing to do with the Republic. Everything that's happening right now is in alignment with the republic being restored, family. The republic has always been here. Most of us just didn't know it. And we bought into, were coerced into, or forced into accepting the United States Incorporated, but it's collapsing. Another thing is happening is people are reporting one by one. Now it's starting to happen like en masse, like lots of people are reporting debts being wiped out, student loan debts being wiped out. One of my closest friends had $500,000 be just completely forgiven. She went to the bank to pay on this debt and they told her it no longer existed. And she kept trying to argue with them. Yes, I need to pay. No, it no longer exists. Student loans are being wiped out. Mortgages are being wiped out. Business loans are being wiped out. Even some of the PP, whatever P loans, they're just being forgiven. So hold on, family. Stay encouraged. It is happening in real time. Again, when gold and silver goes up, the people in the know understand and understand that it's a wrap. It's over for the deep state. So you have gold and silver going up. For all the family members just checking in, inflation is plummeting, and I will show you that article. I'm on my phone, so I don't have the article pulled up right now, but I will put it in the description section when I get off the phone. That inflation is plummeting. People are losing their jobs. Major corporations are collapsing. Food chains, restaurants, they're closing their doors without notice. You can look it up. And that is happening because a lot of those were owned by either illegal, unlawful people or immigrants that were not supposed to be here, or migrants, or they were owned by the deep state. And one of the things we know is that according to Executive Order 138, is it 138/18? The executive order that states that Trump created in his first administration, that states that any entity that is operating in or conducting crimes against humanity, once it's found out that that's happening, they will have all of their assets frozen. So a lot of these assets are being frozen. These companies are being forced to close. And so what that means for you and me is that on a shorthand, it might hurt a little bit because we're used to shopping at these places. We're used to going to restaurants. We're used to doing this at will. Now we're going to be faced with some of us being unemployed and not having the liberty to go to these places. But the opposite of that and the other side of that is now we can create our own businesses. Now we can use our skills and gifts and abilities to create our own businesses and not work for somebody else. So if you're a chef, you're a good cook, you are a seamstress, you're a tailor, you know how to do shoe repair, you're an auto mechanic person, you're a hairdresser, all of these things that you are gifted at, that you were born with, these talents that you either developed over time or that you came on this planet already having because it's innate in you, you will be able to do for yourself, your family, and your community. And this is the way it used to be back in the day before all of these big corporations start buying out the mom and pop shops. What else is in the news is that the United States Department of Education is collapsing. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I told you that the United States Department of Education told many of the workers that we're going to offer you $25,000 on top of your retirement to go ahead and quit. To quit early. And they made that announcement on, I think it was last Friday. And they say, you got by Monday morning to let us know if you're going to accept this buyout of $25,000 to take an early retirement. Because by Monday morning, if I don't get that answer, then you can forget this offer. And then what did we hear Monday morning? And at the latest, Tuesday, we heard that half of the Department of Education was told to step down or retire. They were laid off, or they were told to it's time to go bye-bye. The precursor of that was 2 years ago, Tennessee operated in their sovereignty and they rejected funds from the United States Department of Education. The state of Tennessee said, we don't need the funds from the Department of Education because when they give you money, they control the curriculum and they force you to make all of your students do standardized testing. The state of Tennessee said, we're going to use our sovereignty to reject your funds because we can educate our own children. And this gives us power within our own state to decide what our children should be learning. And we're not going to force them to take standardized testing, because standardized testing has historically not actually determined whether or not a person could thrive in their field. It was culturally biased. So the state of Tennessee 2 years ago said, we're not taking your money. And some people got offended, but they said, we don't want your curriculum. We don't want your policies that say we have to teach, what is it called? Critical race theory. We're not forcing our students to do any of this testing. We're going to take care of ourselves. We got our own money. So states started waking up and operating in their sovereignty and said, oh, we can do that? Because what they came to realize that is, according to the 10th Amendment of our Constitution, states and local communities have more power than the federal government. And that amendment goes on further to say that the federal government only has the power that the people grant it. So we've been operating the opposite of that. We just assumed that the federal government had power, so we had to do whatever they said. The 10th Amendment for our Constitution actually said, no, states and local governments, local communities have the most power. Why? Because states operate as their own country. If you want to see things happen, essentially, family, quicker, then work at the local level, then pressure your lawmakers. Another thing that happened is that states rejected central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and said, we're not going to have any type of central bank digital currency forced upon the people. And this is what state lawmakers said, because it's unconstitutional. This is why we need to work at the local level, because the people that were aware, that understood and overstood and read the Constitution, said, no, it is unlawful for a federal government to issue out a centralized currency to force everybody to abide by it. So family, states, and people operating at the local level are doing their job by making sure we operate in our sovereignty. Excuse me, Sister Adrian, I think, oh, Arlene, I can barely read the comments because it's on my phone, but she says, Dr. Kia, is it the truth that Trump has got to let the government workers come back to work by the judge who supposedly told him so yesterday? I heard it last night by Transformer Rachel Maddow. Is it true that Trump has got to let the government workers come back? Trump doesn't have, no, he doesn't have to let the government workers do anything, because by executive order, he can trump what everybody else says has to happen. And then a lot of these judges are actually, and I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people were rushing to the judges asking for help, but these judges are under court order to stand down. And why? Because the judges and the attorneys, they're not lawyers, because they don't enforce or stand by or agree with laws. They're not upholding laws, because laws are associated with the republic. Laws are associated with the republic for for America. Legality, statutes, codes, policies, they're all associated with the Constitution of the United States Incorporated. Well, the judges and attorneys, who are not lawyers, because they don't uphold the law, they uphold statutes, policies, and codes of the United States Incorporated, they were told to stand down. Judges and lawyers pass the British Accredited Registry, also known as the bar exam. When you pass the British Accredited Registry, that means that your allegiance is to the British Crown and not to we the people. So they pass the British Accredited Registry, and they have a title of nobility because they have Esquire behind their name. According to the Constitution for our republic, you may not have a title of nobility and create laws or work in the law system or work according to the republic. You may not have a title of nobility like Esquire, because when you have a title of nobility and you pass the British Accredited Registry, you don't have the people's best interests at heart. Additionally, the judges and the attorneys were operating under maritime law and admiralty law, or the law of the water, which considered we the people dead at sea, which is why judges wore a black gown when they were conducting your funeral service when you're in court. That's what they were doing, casting spells, conducting a funeral service because you're just dead at sea. And that's why you needed to have an attorney to speak for you, because they classified us as a minor, saying we can't speak for ourselves. So they have been told to stand down. The judges can say whatever they want to say. Trump doesn't have to abide by them, by those judges. Now, whether he chooses to do so, is left up to him. But no, he does not have to make those workers go back to work. That was an excellent, phenomenal question. Thank you so much for asking that question. So the judges and the attorneys will all have to now stand down. And if they desire to operate in their capacity in terms of upholding the law, then they must be retrained in constitutional law. And if you recall, that's part of NASARA. That's another way we can see that the republic has been returned or restored, and that NASARA law is real. Not only must judges and lawyers, not a lawyer, but attorneys stand down, but policy enforcers or police officers have to stand down. If you recall the motu proprio video that I did, you can look on my YouTube channel or my Rumble channel, look up motu proprio, MOTU space PRO, I think it's PRIO, motu proprio. That was a letter that the Pope had actually sent out under the Obama administration, saying in 2014, it's over for us. It's over for the United States Incorporated. In that letter, he said, presidents are not presidents for the countries. Presidents are presidents for a corporation and for the United States Incorporated. Therefore, Pope Francis said, we must stand down. All court officials must stand down. All policy enforcers must stand down. Everything associated with the government, all government agencies must stand down. And if we don't, General Ham and the Grand Army of the Republic will come after us and force us to step down and arrest us and freeze our assets. That was in 2014 when he said that. So now we see this actually happening in real time. And this is why you can look it up. State by states all across America, police departments are closing down, and those duties are being rolled over into the sheriff department. So the reason why this is happening, because according to our republic, the policy enforcers or police officers are actually unconstitutional and unlawful. The only people that can enforce the law are the sheriffs, the constitutional sheriff or sheriff. So again, all over the country, different states, different counties, police departments are closing down. Police officers have been asked to retire early, or they have to be retrained and work for the sheriff department. And all those duties are transitioning over to the sheriff department. So they have to stand down, policy enforcers, because they were a part of the deep state, not our loved ones, but that office, the department. Attorneys, unbeknownst to them, they were working for the British Crown. Judges, they were working for the British Crown. Government workers, they were working for corporate entities, courts, dead entities that were created to put policy, statutes, codes upon us, or yoke upon our neck, and siphon money out of us to pay them, because they all considered us dead at sea. I'm not talking about our family members that work for the government. I mean, the government entities, they're not part of our republic. So it all has to collapse. Even if they go back to work, they're only going to be sent back home, because the United States Department, all of these, Department of Education, Department of all of it, they're bankrupt, they're insolvent, and defunct. So they have to go away. They were considered by the Supreme Court of the United States as treasonous. So treason is not just about, doing certain types of crimes. Treason is also putting a yoke upon the people and forcing them to abide by statutes, codes, and policies that are not laws. That's treasonous. And the penalty for high treason is being dealt with, at the gallows and having your assets frozen. So all of these so-called government entities, they're fake. They're not real. They just been putting a yoke upon us when, according to what we've been taught, we're supposed to have what? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we don't have life. We don't have liberty for sure, or the pursuit of happiness, because of all these statutes, policies, and codes. And just when you think you got, adjusted to one code and statute or policy, they'll just create another one. They'll just keep piling all these statutes and codes upon us, so that you basically have no real life left in your body. You cannot, it's so hard to enjoy life when every time you turn around, every law is created against you. You can't cross the street this way. It's called jaywalking. You get a ticket. You can't park here. It's a ticket. You can't park there. You can't grow vegetables and fruits in your own yard because of homeowners association. You can't dictate that your child not learn about slavery when that's not part of your family history, because this Department of Education says you have to teach critical race theory. You can't tell your child, if you're from European genetics, that our family didn't own slaves. That's not true. The schools need to stop teaching that. Oh no, it's a part of diversity, equity, inclusion, and critical race theory, that all white people are slave owners, and so you should feel guilty, and all Black people are perpetual victims, and they'll never get ahead, and they'll always be at the bottom of the barrel. And all of this psychological trauma and programming has kept us from truly pursuing life, having life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So all of this has to be dismantled. All of this has to be done away with. All of this has to collapse, as well as the dollar, the United States dollar, because they cast spells upon those dollars. People don't know. Chief Mack has said that rich people don't go to the hospital. Also, rich people do not hold fiat in their hands because they know it's dirty, and they know that spells has been cast upon it. They haven't been holding dollars for the longest time. They embrace the digital system because they don't like having those bills that has spells cast upon them and been passed off and with germs and all this stuff from hand to hand. They've been saying they don't hold on to these currencies. Okay. They've been holding silver and gold, because silver and gold is not only money. Silver and gold cures diseases. It heals you. It raises your vibrations. It raises your frequencies. That's the real reason they took away silver and gold. When you wear silver and gold, you feel better. Literally, your DNA registers with silver and gold. We have silver receptors in our brain, which is why doctors have come up with healing modalities to deal with brain-eating amoebas using silver. Copper helps with joint pain, which is why doctors of old, I'm old enough to remember this, doctors would tell people with arthritis and joint pains to wear copper bracelets, and copper bracelets are on their knees. This is the real reason they took out silver and gold, because it's not only been used as money historically, but it also raises your vibrations. It opens up your first eye. People call it the third eye, this here, your pineal gland. It helps you with your chakras. It helps align your body. The Anunnaki came here to mine gold, so because it helped their planet. They had planetary problems. The atmosphere was sick. It was not conducive to their well-being. So they mined gold here in America and on this planet to cure their whole planet. The Anunnaki are beings that are they're not quite like us, but in some ways they are. They came to the planet and they used the Igigis, who were the original so-called beings or humans here, to mine gold for them. Well, when the Igigis rebelled, Enki, Enlil, and their sister Ninhursag, also called Ninmah, created modern day humans from the ground using the soil or the dirt along with their genetics, and implanted them in her womb, Nimna's womb, and they created modern day humans. This is why autogenous people say we sprung from the soil, because autogenous or original peoples upon the planet literally sprung from the soil because they were created from the soil. So autogenous, and indigenous mean you sprung from the soil, meaning that the same dirt And genetic code that's in the ground, in the soil, is the same dirt and genetic code that's in your colon, because you sprung from the ground when Enki, Enlil, most people say it was Enki, and his sister Ninhursag created the modern human. And people will talk about us, coming from the rib of a man, but they won't talk about Ninmah, their sister, who also had a part in creating humanity. Her name is Ninmah. Ma. You hear Ma on the end that? Ninmah, or Ninhursag is another name for her. Ninmah. That's why they call it planet Earth. They refer to a lot of things as her or Ma, because Mama literally had a part in creating humans. Now, the deep state did away with all the female deities, which is why we're suffering. When they got rid of all the female deities and only had us celebrating, worshiping one God, then now women did not have anything to identify with. Women had no female expression of God to which she could measure herself or mimic herself after. Now the only God she knows is the God of war, also known as Yahweh or Enki. Enki and Yahweh is the same being. So Enki and Yahweh is a God of war. He is the God that said go into certain parts of the earth and kill out all the people. He is a jealous God. He has, he got a lot of things going on, and I'm not against it, but there's no balance. You have to have love and nurturing and kindness and the other part of that in order to even fertilize humanity. You got to have balance on the planet. But the powers that be got rid of the story of Ninhursag and Ninmah and only told people about Yahweh. They don't tell you, though, that Allah is a feminine name. And you can even talk to some people that are in Islam, and they would get highly offended if you say Allah is feminine. That's a feminine name. Look it up. They're trying to tell us, but they got rid of the female expressions of God, the female deities. They taught us not to worship or celebrate or commemorate or acknowledge our ancestors. And so now the planet is in disarray. They will kill the female cows. They will no longer plant feminine plants. They will only plant male plants. I don't blame this on men. I blame it on the deep state. We got to stop putting everything on men. I'm just putting this as an aside. Men did this, men did. No, it was the deep state. Okay. So they only plant certain male plants, which is why a lot of people have asthma and allergies. So all this pollen is being shot into the air, but there's nothing to catch it and fertilize it. So we're getting sick. They've had this deep-seated hatred for the divine feminine. Well, Ninhursag, Nimna, Mama, who Chief Pontiac, also known as Rod Hayes, called Mama or Big Mama, is back. Big Mama energy is back. Ninhursag said, y'all treated my children badly. Now, I'm all for, my brother, Enki, doing his thing, but in truth, they created humans against the Galactic Council. You're not supposed to create anything without the permission of the Galactic Council, the Galactic Federation, which we call the Council. They created humanity on their own. And so that's why you had the deluge or the Great Flood. That's in the Sumerian text, the biblical text, and all texts all across history. They had a deluge or a flood to get rid of humanity because he wanted to get rid of the evidence that he had created beings against the council. Enki, Enlil, and Ninhursag. They had to give an account to their father Anu. Why did you do this? Now you left these beings down there. You created them, forced them to mine gold. You taught them your civilizations, your religions, taught them a lot of different things, but you left them down there. And when they tried to ascend in consciousness, that's what the Tower of Babel represents. They try to ascend in consciousness because they know they're gods, because they came from our genetics along with the soil. These aren't just regular beings walking upon earth. They have superpowers where they can levitate, they can manifest, they can do things using their power. But you left them down there. So when they try to ascend in consciousness, now through the Tower of Babel, that metaphor represents that, You confuse them with all these languages with wars and all this. So now they can't communicate with each other and they can't ascend in consciousness. And Anu and the Galactic Federation, you got to read Sumerian texts that predate the Bible, said, no, that's not permissible. We're going to watch over the humans called the Watchers, and we're going to help them. And we're in that era now. That's what Christ, the story about the Christ is about Christos consciousness, ascending then consciousness. Why I keep telling everybody we're all Christ. No, I'm not being anti-God. We're all Christ. We literally have the genetic codes of the Anunnaki beings or whatever beings that created us. And when we were left down here, the Nephilim or the sons of God, those are other beings that people call angels, made it with the daughters of men. That's biblical stories. The Nephilim are the result of that. The sons of God, the angels, the other entities came and made it with the daughters of men, probably raped them, or maybe they morphed themselves into looking like us, had sex with the women, and they created the Nephilim. The giants that were on the earth. Many of us right here are the product of that. Thank you for the Cash App blessing, family. Yes, the Cash App is $ Mama Kia, $ Mama Kia 13, $ MAMAKIA 13. So I know this information is not like, doesn't go along with Christianity, but when you look at it, it really does, because the Bible tells you about the Nephilim. So we were left down here to figure out life by ourselves. And meanwhile, you had archons, reptilians, some of the other draconians, some of the other beings from other galaxies to come and create programs, create agreements and treaties with our presidents. And in exchange for keeping us enslaved and keeping us programmed, they would give these people in power wealth and money. So these people in power, like presidents and entertainers, they sold their soul, so to speak, because they were all a part of this illusion that we're all slaves and we have to obey them and bow down to them. So a lot of the government people, politicians, people that are over the mainstream media, actors, entertainers, many of them are either Nephilim or they're the descendants of these draconians, reptilians, and these entities that came on Earth to take advantage of us because we were just left here to die. You know, it's like Enki, the creator gods, just left us and we were subjugated to all of this confusion. And we were taught war and we were taught to unalive each other. We were taught to hate each other. We had all this racism and sexism and all this stuff that was taught to us through programming, through the television and politicians and magazines, all of that. We were left here literally to die. So am I speaking against the Most High or the Creator? No, I'm telling it like it is. But see, my philosophy is that there's a difference between source and God. Source, the creator, is an energy or a frequency from which all life is derived. Source, that's why the law of oneness says that we all come from source. We all have source within us and we will all go back to source. Energy, vibrations. In the beginning, everything was void, right? And it says that God spoke and everything came out. Or some people said it was a Big Bang theory. Depends on what you espouse to, what you uphold. So source is energy. It's a frequency. If you want to be close to source, you just have to vibrate on that frequency of love, that good energy, joy, peace, that just goodness. Source is an energy or a frequency from which all life was derived. And then you have gods or different creator gods or entities that literally molded and created beings on Earth, beings on other planets, beings that are extraterrestrial or that land outside of the landmass that we call Earth. Source, creator or prime creator, and then gods. And another thing that I say that upsets some people that resonates with others is that we're all gods. We all are creators. And the Bible tried to tell people that. The Bible literally in Psalm says, ye are gods. The Bible literally in the New Testament is the Christ speaking, saying, does not your own scripture tell you that ye are gods? You are creators. We have the genetics of the gods or the beings that created us. That's why I tell people, stop begging, stop groveling, stop saying, oh, I beseech you, oh, I beg you, oh, God, please, and start commanding. Command the angels, the beings, or whatever. Command the gods to do what they're supposed to do. They don't want you to know you have as much power as they do, which is why they have you groveling, us groveling, begging, beseeching, imploring, because we have the same ability to command things to happen, command peace in your life, command joy, command the RV to happen. Oh, I wish the RV would still happen. You're still begging. No, these currencies are going to revalue, and they're going to revalue now. And that's why I have my channel. I say, yes, it's happening. Even when people are saying, no, it's not, I say, yes, it is, because I said it is. Therefore, it's going to happen. Oh, you think you're God? No, I know that I am. I know that I'm God. I know that I'm wealth. I know that I am amazing. I know that I am love. I am peace. And I command order. I command these countries to comply with the America, because America is where everything started. The Garden of Eden was here. Egypt is here. Babylon is here. Israel's here. And see, I grew up in the Judaic tradition. So I know about doing away with debt. I know about the Shemitah or Shemitah. I know about the Great Jubilee that has to happen every 50 years. I know that we're living in a Jubilee year right now. I know this because I'm Hebrew, Jewish, whatever you want to call it. I know who I am. And as soon as we wake up and realize that we're God, we'll stop begging the government to do anything for us, and we'll start telling them what to do. We'll start commanding the angels what to do. And if you want to venerate somebody, venerate the ancestors that came before us. You know how I got love and passion in my life? I did a ritual and I put it on Facebook, and I said, I'm doing a ritual, and I'm bringing in love and abundance into my life. And this is the ritual that I'm doing. I didn't tell everything, but I told a little. And people are saying, wow, you're smiling a lot more. You're already a joyful person. What happened? I commanded the gods, the deities to be at my beck and will. I commanded the energy that I desired to come into my life to come. And now I'm the happiest I've ever been. I am the happiest I've been in a very long time. I commanded, and I spoke it last month. People saying, when is the RV going to happen? I said, right now, because I said so. Right now, because I said so. And I said, and by tomorrow, we're going to get proof of that. And then on that next day, I reported on the proof. You have the same authority and power. You are gods. That's why Kanye West said, I am a God. He said, what do y'all want people to say? I'm a thug. I'm a hoe. I'm a bee. I'm a derelict. I'm a slave. I'm an African descendant of a slave. The devil is a lie. I am God. God, goddess. Goddess is God essence. Look at the word God, Goddes, God essence. You have the essence of God. You have the characteristics of God. There's a whole religion called the religion of gods and earths. 5%ers, I think they call themselves. They know that our blood is Anunnaki. Now, the people in power, the blue blood, so to speak, they have, I think they might be Rh negative, but they have certain blood types from the entities they created. So the people in power, like a lot of your entertainers, a lot of your politicians, they will tell you they shapeshift. They're not human. They are the descendants of these beings, or they're outright the beings that are shapeshifting. And they were allowed to control the planet. But that time is up. This is my point. Let me conclude. In summary, the time for the deep state is up. President Trump has been told what to do from the beginning. Yes, he's doing something that's amazing. Yes, I appreciate him. Yes, I am glad. The Trump avatar, the person that's playing Trump, is using the Trump name to trump or take over the deep state, the cabal, these entities that are not human that have enslaved the planet for centuries. And he has been given directions to use their tools, the executive orders, to demolish and destroy them. And that's what he's doing. He's making Earth great again. He's making America great again. He's making we the people great again by putting tariffs or taxes on other countries that are doing business with us instead of taxing we the people. That alone will make us extremely wealthy. He also created a sovereign wealth fund. The sovereign wealth fund is a fund that's comprised of real estate, other assets like gold, silver, palladium, and platinum, rare earth minerals, which, by the way, a couple years ago, 2.34 billion metric tons of rare earth minerals were found in Wyoming or discovered in Wyoming, let alone all the rare earth minerals that we haven't discussed. Palladium, platinum, silver, gold, rare earth minerals are comprised of that fund is comprised of real estate, digital assets. And all of these assets in that fund will be used for development and investment, not for taxing the people. That fund is not comprised of taxes because taxes are against our Constitution for our republic. So he created a sovereign wealth fund. So now we can develop our nation and stop lying to the people to say we got to put a tax on you so we can fix the roads. Because the way they tax us to death, we should have no problems with the roads. But we do, because they were using the taxes to pay off the Pope and the Queen and themselves and hoarding the money and leaving us for dead. Wake up, family. You are the savior for whom you've been looking. You've been crying out. You've been tired. You've been saying you need a change, and now the change is here. And some of us are so used to being enslaved and being impoverished. We've been praying. We've been asking for a sign. We've been asking for a change. We've been asking for funding. We've been asking for help. We've been asking for somebody to believe in our business. We've been asking. And then when Dr. Kia Pruitt comes to you, or somebody else come to you, or your ancestors send people to you and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you. I know some investors that can help. We're so used to being impoverished that we will reject it, even though we ask for it. Well, guess what? Now it's going to happen for everybody. The whole planet is going to be wealthy. I need to also say this. If you don't have money for silver and gold, don't worry, because it will come a time where we're all going to be wearing silver and gold again. We're all going to be enjoying silver and gold because it is these are natural minerals that have been created here to help us to raise in our vibrational frequencies. So remember when that sickness came out in 2020? They first called it the CORONA because it was a banking term that the elites were using that said we are in the golden age. CRONA, corona, means crown, as in this is a time, the age of Aquarius, where the crown chakra is being activated. These people are waking up to their Christos consciousness. They are ascending in vibrational frequencies. We got to do something. On the one hand, you had the deep state saying, oh, we'll do something. We'll create a virus out of Ukraine and out of China to lower their frequencies, and we'll program them to take these shots to lower their vibrational frequencies to keep us from ascending to their God or Christ consciousness. And then on the other hand, you have benevolent factors of these entities that are not human, and some humans, they're human hybrids, saying we're going to unleash gold and we're going to release gold to raise their vibrational frequency, to open up their crown chakras, and to help them to ascend to their Christ consciousness and wake up to know that they are gods. A God is just a creator. Why are people offended about being called God? You're a creator. Don't you know how to create? Don't you have gifts? Don't you know how to create music, create art, create a building, create life? When you make love to your companion, you're a creator. That's what a God is. But they programmed us to think it was something else. What does God really stand for? was it gold, oil, and what is the D, family? Gold, oil, or as some people say, guns, oil, and something else. Had nothing to do with the source energy. We have to like reprogram ourselves, like take away the old programming, at least be open to new information or some information that's not as new that we just haven't resonated with, because it's your time to thrive. We're speaking life. We command all of your debts to be forgiven. That's why as a credit repair specialist, I wouldn't charge anybody, because I despise debt. That system is against us and it's unconstitutional. So I did it for free. And everybody that I did it for got things taken off their credit, bankruptcies, judgments, liens, and they were able to buy houses and cars. But in those letters, I didn't beg anybody. I wrote the TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are all foreign entities that are not associated with America that created these entities in this whole system. I wrote all of them. And I said, this debt does not belong to so-and-so. You must verify that this debt belonged to them by showing me the original contract with their wet ink signature. And since you can't do it, collection agency, you have 30 days to take it off their credit report. I give you 30 days, and then I will send it by registered mail. Return receipt requested. So they had to sign off for it and let me know, because I'm the boss, I'm God. Let me know that you got my letter, and you got 30 days to wipe it out. Because according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, Section 609, if you cannot verify that this debt belongs to so-and-so, you must remove it from their credit report. Most times on the first round, they would remove it. I didn't ask them, I didn't beg them. You tell them what to do. You're the creditor, I'm the creditor. This is why they had bank bail-ins, because unbeknownst to us, when we were putting money under the old system in the bank, we were lending the money to the bankers as the creditor to do whatever they wanted to do with it. So they can, they can invest in other things. They can bail themselves out, which is called a bail-in with your money because you gave it to them. But under the new compliances, Basel III and Basel IV, banks can no longer steal your money. They have to be transparent. They can now do cross-border transactions using XRP and Ripple and communicate with each other. You're still in charge of your money. They have to work for you. That's a lie that you have to sign an NDA when you do a currency exchange. Nobody can tell you what to do with your money when you go to a wealth management center, bank, whatever y'all call it. Okay, they work for you. They might have to sign an NDA, and if you tell them to, they will, because you are in control. So for so long, we've been groveling. I can't tell you how many people I've said to, you don't have to pay taxes. It's voluntary. It's voluntary. Now, I get it that they put all these statutes and codes around, and if you don't, they'll take money out of here and there. But I will tell you, it's a voluntary. I don't know when the last time I paid taxes. The IRS has been done away with it. If you don't want to pay the tax, this is what I've told my family to do. Write a letter to the IRS and to the United States Treasury Department, because the IRS is now under the duties of the United States Treasury Department, and tell them that you won't be paying taxes. You can say, under duress. You can say, financially, I'm having hardships. You can say whatever you want to say. Or you can ask them to hold off on the payments until you just tell them hold off on the payments. I forget what you call that when you hold off on the payments. And then just wait till you get the official announcement. But President Trump has already said he's doing away with the IRS. IRS workers and agents are being fired, and the 87,000 new agents that were supposed to come online and force us at gunpoint to pay taxes, that has been done away with. They've been told to halt and stand down. So this is, thank you for the Cash App blessing, Jermaine Page. God bless you. Thank you so much. So they've been told to stand down, family. Now, again, the government is being downsized because the government is not part of our republic. These are bloodline families that's controlling the planet. That has to be done away with. And now you will be in control of your own money, your own life, your own health, your own well-being, your own legacy. You will be in control of educating your own children. So yes, the Department of Education is being defunded. They'll have to go away. All of that is a part of the deep state. It's upsetting to some people, but now we can educate our own children. What did they do before we had the Department of Education? People taught their own children whatever they knew, and they taught them their trade, and they did family farming, family business for generations. What's wrong with going back to that? Nothing. Now you don't have to work for a corporate entity, a dead corpse, a corporation. You can work for yourself and operate in private and conduct business with the people with whom you desire to conduct business. Train your children, educate them yourselves. If you don't know how to do or what to do, look for the teachers, because teachers are about to lose their jobs, who are adept in certain things, and have them to teach your children in exchange for a service that you offer them, or pay them in silver and gold. Speaking of silver and gold, it's going to go up. Both. Silver is an industrial metal. Silver is used in solar panels. Silver is used in electric cars. Silver is used in all appliances. Silver is used in the engine. Silver is used in the refrigerator, stove, the television, the cell phone, the microwave oven, the washer, the dryer. Silver will be using all this technology that's been held and kept back, all the secret technology that's about to be released. Silver will outperform gold, family. It's only $34, $35 per ounce now, but it will outperform gold. The Bank of America said 2 years ago, they had actually, and I did a report on that, I can't find the article that was out, but they had predicted that silver would go up to $600 per ounce. They actually predicted that would happen last year. It didn't. But it will go up in value. And by the way, Mexico probably has some of the most amount of, maybe the most amount of silver, but they definitely have a lot of silver mines there that are about to be reopened. So a lot of my Mexican brothers and sisters that are here, they're going to go back home soon because those silver mines are about to be open. A lot of my family members here that in certain parts of the earth, certain parts of this country, like Nevada, that's about to open up. All those gold and silver mines are about to reopen. Utah, all those different places where the mines were closed down. People in Phoenix, we have pyramids. We have pyramids all over America, but there we have gold that are in the pyramids, gold that's in the Grand Canyon, gold spread all across the Colorado River. We're all going to be wealthy. So I just came to say that the inflation is plummeting. Inflation rates are plummeting. Houses are being dumped back onto the market as we're having a housing market collapse. The automobile collapse actually happened a year and a half ago. I announced that when it happened. People couldn't afford to pay their automobiles. So they were just wiping out the debt. They was just like, well, we're just going to have to, what they call write off this debt. And they didn't have enough workers to go and repossess automobiles. So the automobile collapse happened a year ago. The stock market is plummeting. It may correct, but all of these are just key signs to let you know that the dollar and everything that's associated with the dollar has to decline. So this was actually projected to happen years ago with Project Sandman. Project Sandman was a secret agreement between 209 nations to, when triggered, drop the United States dollar for trade and use their own local currencies backed by silver, gold, palladium, platinum, or any resources that those countries have. So what the 209 nations did was they repatriated their gold back from the Vatican to themselves. Excuse me. And they said, we will use this to back our own currencies. And they started forging alliances with each other so that they could fight against the deep state if the deep state came after their gold again. So what was the trigger? 209 nations agreed when triggered to stop trading with the dollar, use their own currencies backed by gold, silver, palladium, platinum. They had all their resources repatriated back to them. They started kicking out workers or kicking out different militias and military that were there. The trigger to all of that was Vladimir Putin. When he went in 2022 and started or declared war against Ukraine because he was actually uncovering all of the crimes against humanity, the labs that were like the Wuhan labs that created by the sicknesses. He exposed the Biden crime administration. James Comer, who is the head of the oversight committee, the House, go to oversight.house.gov. You'll see James Comer talking about Biden, in the search engine of the House Oversight Committee, type in Biden, and you'll see all the evidence that James Comer, the person head of the Oversight Committee, accumulated against Biden and his administration. But a lot of that information came from Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, he's a mess. He also unlocked a lot of vaults that showed that a lot of biblical characters were dark complected, and he said Jesus is black and the people are black, because he just like stirring up problems. He's like, I'm trying to wake up the people. But when he uncovered all of the deep state activities, the laundering that was going on in Ukraine, Biden put sanctions on Vladimir Putin. And Vladimir Putin clapped back by discontinuing his trade with the United States dollar. And he used his own currency, which was the Russian ruble. And that's why there are articles out there, you can fact check me, that said in 2022, the Russian ruble became the strongest performing currency in the world. Vladimir Putin also inspired and encouraged all other nations to stop trading with the dollar. When he stopped trading with the dollar, he said, okay, now since I'm the head of Russia, I'm going to, during the BRICS summit, because they already had the BRICS coalition that was founded years ago. At the BRICS summit, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition, I'm going to tell the BRICS bloc to stop trading with the dollar, to follow me, because Biden put a sanction on me, and I'm the boss now. And like he just took it upon himself. I got a nice army here. I know who the real Americans are. I'm going to wake them up. I'm going to shake them up. I'm not dealing with the deep state. I know that the real Americans aren't running the country. I know that the deep state bloodline families are. So whoever's playing the role of Vladimir Putin at the summit told Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa to stop trading with the dollar. Because again, what made the dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil, and will force all nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia, and they must use the United States dollar. That agreement called Project Sandman said, over with that. Putin was the trigger. He talked to the BRICS bloc. All of those nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa in 2022 followed his lead, unbeknownst to most people. And then Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, and they became known as Sal BRICS. And then nation by nation, they joined BRICS, and they became known as BRICS Plus. And that is how the decimation of the dollar accelerated, with all of these countries refusing to trade with the dollar. They're using their own currency, their own country's currency, and they're backing it by precious metals, and they're kicking out so-called colonists. The colonists are bloodline families that were there to control the resources in Africa. They're controlling the resources. They were controlling the resources in America, and the knowledge and the information and the inheritance of the original American people, bloodline families. They were using certain races of people, not just people that don't look like me. They were using people that look like me, and they were using immigrants to come over here like the Native Americans who are not from here. They're from Asia. They're not Americans. Using them, some unbeknownst to them, to claim our identity so that they can be the stewards of the land and the stewards of the resources. But even they got done dirty, because if you work with or for the deep state, they only using you, then they're going to use you up, and they're going to throw you away. So now all the nations have awakened. They're now aware that they and are willing to use their own resources. They kicked out the colonists. We reported on this several months ago. Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Senegal, they all kicked out the French colonists. That led to the French economy collapsing. And so the people in France, they did a no confidence vote and got rid of the French parliament. And now they're coming after Macron, I think his name, the French leader, because now that France cannot steal or siphon the energy and the money from the Congo and from these African nations. I don't know if it was the Congo. No, Belgium, I think it's the Congo. But from these African nations the aforementioned African nations, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and Chad, now they can't use those children and those people and exploit them and their labor for cobalt and all of these resources. Now France's economy is suffering. And this is why you saw a lot of these Catholic priests go around kissing the feet of African leaders. You saw that probably 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, we're so sorry for what we did for you to you. Because there was an agreement. Doug, somebody tell me what's the name of that agreement where they divided up the continent of Africa? It's not the Balfour Agreement. The Balfour Agreement allowed the Rothschild family to steal land in Israel and call it Palestine so that they could have that land for themselves, even though they're not Jews. They're actually Khazarian mafia that came from Russia. So that's the Balfour Agreement. But there was an agreement where, you guys know what it's called? The agreement where they divided the continent of Africa, the European nations for themselves, and they stole the resources and exploited the people. Well, that's all done away with now. And so they went around, and they actually went around country by country, but they also had a conference where these popes and these prelates, these colonists, were getting on their knees, kissing the feet of African prelates, saying, I'm sorry for colonizing you. Please don't do to us what we did to you. What is that conference called? Somebody tell me the name of the conference where they divided Africa. Doug, what's the name of the conference where they divided Africa? You must be asleep. I can't think of it. You guys know it though. But anyway, that's all been done away with. And we are being returned to our sovereignty all over the world. So how do you get in on the greatest wealth transfer in history? You do what they did in 1929 during the Great Depression, 1930. You buy depreciated assets, like digital assets, like foreign currencies, like houses when they're being dumped back on the real estate market. Thank you, the Berlin Conference. God bless you. Thank you so much. Who said that? I can't see your name. Nicosia Lifestyles. Yes, it was the Berlin Conference. That's been overturned. So all of these European nations that colonized Africa has to stand down. Buy depreciated assets. If you can't afford it, just get what you can. Get food because you gotta live. Get seeds. You're gonna be okay. You have NASARA coming online, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, which would inject a lot of money into the global economy. It's also going to put money into your accounts, which would be not just this little measly $5,000 Elon Musk is talking about, but it'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this isn't money coming out of thin air. They have to tell you it's the National Economic Security Reformation Act. It's this person. It's that person. Excuse me, I lost my internet connection. But in reality, a lot of that money is coming out of your trust because when we were born, they forced our moms to, as an informant, to sign a birth certificate. And unbeknownst to her, she was given the deep state power and authority we were giving them power over our children, saying we were the informant. Our children are not able to operate as them on their own. You are you're over their trust. And so that birth certificate was turned into a bond. It was securitized. It accrued interest. And over time, it made a lot of money. It was used to offset debts. But instead, what they would tell you is, I'm going to give you a car loan. I'm going to give you a house loan. I'm going to give you loans. Never gave us money. But you have to pay us back with interest. Interest or usury is against the Bible. It's really against all nations. But they would force us to pay those loans back when all along they were taking money out of our trust and paying themselves. But those trusts are worth millions and billions of dollars. You guys are trust fund babies. We're all billionaires. They're just going to return that money. So make sure you learn about how to use money. Make sure you learn about wealth management and you use the money wisely, because some intel is saying that they will only give money to us or put money into our accounts. This is just what some intel is saying, over a 10-year period, something like that. It'd be like $100,000 into a non-interest bearing account over an 11-year period. I don't know how much we're going to get, but we're all going to have something. But if you don't want to wait for that, gold Aurum notes, AURUM, they're also called gold backs. are 14 karat gold notes or 24 karat gold, 0.999 pure gold pressed onto a note. Most now say you can use gold RM notes to buy local goods and services. Some places go online. JM Bullion, SD Bullion, Money Metals Mint. Just look for online dealers. Miles Franklin, at the last time I checked, don't have gold RM notes. Some of them are as low as $3. They can go up from $3 to $100, but it's real 0.999 pure gold pressed onto a 14 karat note or 24 karat note. You can use it to buy local goods and services in some states. If you wanted to make sure it happens in your state, pressure makers, because 46 states have already declared silver and gold as legal tender, meaning you can buy local goods and services. Silver right now is only $34, $35. That's the spot price. Now, remember, there's a premium on top of that for doing business with these gold precious metals companies. And then some still have some taxes on there, some states. Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, their number is 952-929-7006. Let them know that you learn about them from the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. You will get a discount. You will get the best prices in the industry. JM Bullion, SD Bullion, APMEX is a precious metals company who, by the way, rented a floor with President Trump in 2011, and President Trump accepted gold, 32 ounces of gold from them. And he said in 2011, this is the wave of the future. I'm not going to accept fiat. I'm not going to accept dollars. I'm going to accept gold. So get in on it by buying silver while it's low, gold while it's a little less than $3,000 an ounce. Like if you have a large savings, if you have an IRA or retirement account and you want to take that haircut or pay the taxes, you can, and roll that over. Roll the retirement into a gold IRA, and you will be able to take some of your gold into possession, or just roll it all over into gold and silver. Miles Franklin has a program that does that. 952-929-7006, or send them an email at info@milesfranklin.com. You spell Miles Franklin MILES, F as in Frank, RANKLIN.com. Let them know that Dr. Kia referred you, or go to another precious metals company. It's up to you. Do your research. You can roll over your retirement account into gold and silver, or into a gold IRA. Or instead of thinking about gold, it's up to you. You can actually put your money or savings into silver. Okay, because the gold to silver ratio right now, and I'll end on this, is 90-1, meaning it takes 90 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Well, this gap in the ratio is going to shrink, because it should be at least 30-1, meaning it would take 30 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. But biblically, it was 3-1, where it would take 3 ounces of gold to buy 3 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. But if you follow Bix Weir, BIX, his last name is Veer or Weir, WEIR, on his YouTube channel, Road to Ruta, ROADTOROOTA, he says that gold and silver has to be 1-1 when it's all said and done. Why not get silver? And then when it ratio, which is 90-1 right now, that's unheard of. When that gap closes, then you can go and get gold. But if you have a whole lot of money, a whole lot of savings, you might want to just put it into gold. It's up to you. This is how you can get in on the greatest wealth transfer in history. Or I thought Enlil was the god of, not his brother Enki. It could have been Enlil. I say Enki. It could have been Enlil. Their names sound kind of alike, but consider foreign currencies, because they've all been devalued through sanctions or war. If you didn't want to play along and get oil from Saudi Arabia, or you tried to use another entity, another form of currency other than United States dollar, the United States Incorporated would put sanctions on these countries like Venezuela, like Iraq, like Iran, like Afghanistan. Look up the countries that have been sanctioned through war or through war, or just had sanctions put upon them for whatever reason. those assets, those currencies have been devalued, meaning they were not worth what they should be. The value of the currency was depreciated because of the sanctions or because of the war. So you buy those depreciated assets. Some of those currencies, the Zimbabwe, you know about their high inflation, how they had sanctions. Venezuela, I'll name some countries, Indonesia, India. Some of those currencies you can buy for just a few dollars. You have to do your research. Go online. In the chat, family, can you let people know what currencies they should get and from where they could get them? So consider these depreciated assets. If you have a few pennies, if you can trade in some cans, if you can go without getting your hair done or your nail done once, or maybe not go out one weekend, just get a couple notes. Some people saying it's fake, it's never going to revalue, but it has done it in the past. When the war is over, America goes back into those countries and rebuild the infrastructure, and the GDP goes up and the currency is put back to its normal lawful value, revalued, or have the value reinstated back onto those currencies. It has happened many times. Look up Kuwait and how their currency revalued in 1991. So you can buy depreciated assets, depreciated land, houses you can get in with your family members or friends with people with like-minded minds, open up a business. I mean, whatever you can do. Or you can just start accumulating seeds, or you can start honing your skills, gifts, and abilities, because now you're in control and you'll create businesses to help your family and community thrive. So family, inflation is going down. Egg prices, gas prices going down. The article I saw, one of the articles I saw said inflation is plummeting. Meanwhile, gold prices are going up. Our vibrations are going up. Silver is going up. Our positivity is going up. And President Trump is demolishing the deep state. And mind you, he is under order to do that. So my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt, family. It has been my great pleasure to bring you some exciting news that these things are happening on our behalf. Businesses are closing. The government is being downsized, meaning we won't have this noose on our neck and all these statutes, policies, and codes put on our neck, forcing us to do all of these things and pay all of these fines. So I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. And just for your information, the family is putting in here Venezuelan bolivar, Iraqi dinar, Indonesian rupee, and some other currencies, as well as silver that you should think about and invest in. I love you so much, family, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. Thank you for validating me. Thank you for all the Cash App blessings. My Cash App is $Mama Kia 13. That's MAMAKIA 13. And I chose the number 13 because there's an old ancient saying that says, by indigenous peoples, let he who understand the power of 13 receive peace, prosperity, wisdom, and prosperity. So look up the number 13 and why the deep state told us that we should be afraid of. It's a very high vibrational number. So that's it, family. I'm about to go make this a happy Friday. Yay! And I encourage you to do the same. And remember, command wealth, command joy, command prosperity, command the revaluation of currencies or the reinstatement of the currencies. Command all the things you desire in your life, because as the scripture says, ye are gods. I love you. Bye-bye.